phone call between Vrabel and Burks?
No.
Oh, dude, Vrabel was like so pissed that he was calling him. He's like, "Be grateful that you're here." And Traylon's like, I am, sir. I am. He's like, "Be grateful you're here." He like deadpan, not even smile. I was like, dude, this guy's pissed.
He's not happy.
It was nuts.
Dude,
Welcome to another episode of Boom or Bust, the draft show. I'm Max Chadwick alongside Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons. So I'm back after the Cincinnati trip. These guys did an awesome job. Like late at night after I came home from the draft, I would watch their evaluation just to see how the Kenny Pickett reaction was or any of these other picks. Because it was an insane draft. So what we're going to do today is we're going to grade every team's draft, starting with the AFC first. We're going to do the NFC in another video. And just kind of give our own grade. So how we did this was each of us gave a letter grade, and then we averaged that out to get a consensus boom or bust letter grade for every team in the 2022 NFL Draft. So before we start the video, please like and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft, on YouTube, and anywhere you get podcasts. Check out the merch store below. And this episode is brought to you by WinView, the best thing to happen to sports since fantasy. WinView is a new way to bet on sports because gone are the days where all you can do are bet on spreads, over-unders, money lines, or player props. With WinView, you can bet on singular events live during games like, will James Harden make this free throw? Will this at-bat be a strikeout? Will the Cowboys score a touchdown on this drive? These kinds of things you can bet live during games. So much like these and more on the WinView app. Play for free for fun or enter cash prize contests against other users. All you have to do is answer props before and during the game. All you got to do is just to sign up is click on the link that is in our description or in our pinned comment and become part of the new way to bet on sports today. So let's start this thing off with what I consider to be the best draft out of all the teams in this draft, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. Donnie, you love this draft as much as I do.
A plus. Yeah, so the Ravens, a lot of people want to believe the Jets had the best draft. No, it was the Ravens.
Yep.
They had six fourth-round picks, and they basically crushed every single one of them except for like two. And their second round was good, and then they drafted the two best pure football players in this class, Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum, at positions they relatively needed. They needed a center. They got the greatest one of all time in terms of the NFL draft.
Yep.
They not necessarily needed a safety, but when you're in a division with the Bengals, you're going to need a safety, and they signed Marcus Williams, and now Kyle Hamilton is on that team.
Day two, man. Day two was hot, too. Day one was hot.
I mean, Travis Jones in the third round was an absolute joke. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why did Travis Jones fall so far?
And David Ojabo, too, man.
Yeah, David Ojabo. I mean, that's good value right there. I had a feeling he would fall to the first round because of the injuries, but, I mean, you're reunited him with his former teammate, ODFOA, and if he's going to...
Defensive coordinator, too, Mike McDonald there, too.
Yeah, and exactly. And, if he's going to work anywhere with that injury, it's gonna be Baltimore. Travis Jones in the third round is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
In the fourth round, and here's the thing, real quick. I know a lot of people are upset that they didn't draft a wide receiver. They got two great tight ends, so who really cares? Charlie Cole in the fourth round, I thought was great value. I thought this guy. Not necessarily. I think he was a third-round pick, but I mean, great value anyway. Isaiah Likely is in the late fourth round is a joke. They took him after Charlie Cole, which I thought was crazy, and I still thought that Charlie Cole pick was good because I knew Likely was going to fall. You can play Likely at wide receiver; he'll work there. So Ravens, greatest draft of all time, maybe? Question mark.
Honestly. Nick, what do you think?
I mean, here's the thing. They drafted a punter in the fourth round, and I could care less. This is an A+. A++.
The best punter, by the way.
Strictly from a process standpoint, this is my favorite draft that we're going to talk about. 6 fourth rounders is super impressive. That is unreal. Those are you're probably going to get 2 or 3 long-term starters out of that, probably having that many fourth round picks. But yeah, I mean, the one thing he didn't even mention is he probably doesn't want to is the fact that they got a first round pick back from Marquise Brown, which is just ridiculous.
Hey, they gave up pick 100, okay?
Didn't have to pay them, and they got a first-round pick back. They took our 2 generational talents in this draft. They kind of got saved by the Eagles. We reported that in our mock video that the Eagles might jump them for Jordan Davis. So they got saved by the Eagles, so they got stuck boo-hoo taking Kyle Hamilton, which obviously we believe is better. And instead of Jordan Davis at 14, they got Travis Jones at 76, which in my opinion is at 60 spots lower a better player.
That's just ridiculous, dude. How did Travis Jones, the guy who was the best defensive tackle at the Senior Bowl, fall to the 3rd round? I don't get it. By the way, the mid-3rd round. Mid-3rd round. This isn't even early. Oh god.
The one thing about this draft that I found really interesting is like they didn't really go with positional value at all, but I don't care because every single player on this list is like, I'm just like going down like Kyle Hamilton. Where's the best team he could have gone to? Ravens. Where's the best team Tyler Linderbaum could have gone to that wasn't his own offense? Ravens. Where's the best team that David Ojabo could have gone to? Ravens. Where's the best team that Travis Jones could have gone to? Ravens. Daniel Falele, we even said, I think in a video, I thought he shouldn't have gone this high, but if there's a team that's going to take him this high, it should have been the Ravens.
Yeah, seriously.
And then like 3 too, Jalen Armour Davis for Chris Sims.
Caller and Likely, like tight end's dream, go to the Ravens. This is just, and Likely I was like afraid was going to fall. I thought he was going to go really late in this draft just because of some of the things we heard, and they still decided to take him in the 4th round, which I think is awesome. Like, I want to work for the scouting department. They have my board apparently because they're on it.
Nick, I know you're a little lower, so you have like a realistic scale, which is why this is not an A+. Do you want to kind of explain to the viewers?
Yeah, I have a B+ on this. I'm not going to right? So I have to like do this thing, right?
Get him off the stage.
I don't give A's. I've given 2 A's now in 2 years, and I've never given an F in those past 2 years. Mostly because I just grade every draft pick, and I know PFF hates this, but I grade all draft picks equally because I do think that getting a 1st-round talent in the 5th round has value. I think ignoring 5th-round picks when you can, when there are players that we believe, and I think the consensus, I know like the market dictates that player is not as good if they go to the 5th, but like I'm just, I'm gonna throw the name out there because obviously is what I'm alluding to. Sam Howell, like falling to the 5th round,
ridiculous,
has like a ridiculous impact compared to any 5th-round pick that happened this year, last year, the year before that, or probably the next 3 years as well. Like that's different. So I give that. I think that pick has value and should be measured as much as a real 1st-round pick, because that's what we had a grade on for. So the reason their grade gets dropped down a little bit, Falele I didn't love as much, but I gave that grade a B. And then they took a punter and they took a corner from Houston who no one knew. So that was
the best punter in the draft. Okay.
I love the kahunas it took to take a punter over Matt Araiza, who I think is a little bit overrated too. Not exactly a punt god like some people think. I think Jordan Stout might have been a better punter. Plus, he kicked for Penn State, too. So I love that. 4th round, I agree with Nick, though. I don't love too much. The one thing, so you guys mentioned the only 2 generational prospects, they got both of them in Hamilton and Linderbaum. Hamilton is going to be an absolute superstar. I have no worries about that. The one qualm I have with the Ravens, this is a predominantly gap-blocking team. And you want Linderbaum in a zone-blocking scheme, and it's like, well, people are like, oh, well, they'll switch for Linderbaum. 1, they are not going to switch their blocking scheme where it just works so well for Lamar Jackson. They're not going to switch it for a freaking center. 2, they showed that they're still committed to being a gap blocking scheme team with a guy like Daniel Falele, who is not a guy you want in his own blocking scheme. So Linderbaum is going to have to adjust. He's barely done any gap blocking in his career. It hasn't been bad, but it's not like this world dominator like he's been in Iowa in his zone blocking scheme. So I don't have the scheme fit there, but like he's so good that I think he'll still be great in the NFL. Just won't be maybe as good as we want him. So that's the scheme fit for Tyler Linderbaum. I'm a little hesitant on, but still, I mean, 25th overall. You get the best football player in the draft, in my opinion. Probably the second, one of the best football players in the draft for Kyle Hamilton. Like 2 top 10 players at 14 and 25. David Ojabo, reunite him with Mike McDonald. I love that.
And Odafe.
Yeah, and Odafe. Oh my God, Odafe, the high school teammates. That's going to be a freaky edge duo. I love that. Travis Jones, you guys mentioned, is a ridiculous value. I cannot. I thought he was going to sneak into the back half of the 1st round, if not the 2nd round. He falls to 76. That was ridiculous. Charlie Kohler, I ended up at tight end 2. I know it's a hot take. His big question for me was athleticism, and he tested out as like a 93rd percentile athlete. I was like, all right, this guy's the tape I love then. And that sounds bad, but I really was concerned about his athleticism. He tested out way better than I thought. Likely, I dropped a little bit, but still, I think that's great value. Overall, the Ravens draft was one of my favorite draft classes I've ever seen because they got 2 freaking superstars. Not the best scheme fit, but still they're going to make it work. If anyone's going to make it work, it's the Ravens. So love the Ravens draft. We ended up giving them an A. Donnie and I gave them an A+. Let's go to another AFC North team in the Cincinnati Bengals. Nick, what did you think about this Bengals draft?
All right, so we gave them overall a C, right? I need to look at the spreadsheet. Okay, yes. Yeah, I had to find them on mine because mine's big. I also gave them a C, so aligns well. This was like a ho-hum draft. Like Daxton Hill in the first was like a good, not great pick. I guess safety kind of will be a need. I don't know that Von Bell is going to be there forever. Jesse Bates, have they given him an extension yet? I don't think they have.
That's what makes me nervous.
That's kind of what it is. I think Daxton Hill could be a good replacement for him. Cam Taylor-Britt, second round, we liked. I don't know if I liked them this high. I gave that a B as well. It went after the secondary. Those are positions that are important. But then Zachary Carter,
yeah.
Cordell Volson, fourth round. I liked him, but not that high. Tyson Anderson, I also like. I know he's an athlete. I didn't love him in the fifth. Jeffrey Gunter pick I did like in the seventh, but
Same.
It was just kind of it was very ho-hum draft in my opinion.
That's fair.
I mean, they took guys I like just way too early. Come on, Cincinnati.
Yes.
I was the highest on Cam Taylor-Britt. I had him at 98 on my board. You took him at 60. Listen, I love Cam Taylor, but that's just too high. I like Zachary Carter too. This is another guy I like, and you took him at 95, and I had him in my 120s. Maybe later than that, maybe even 130s or 40s. I really liked him, but this is just way too early. He's not a day 2 pick. And then, I don't know, the rest of the picks were fine. Jeffrey Gutner, I thought, was actually a decent pick. I had him in my top 200, and you took him at 252. I thought that was a good pick. But, I'm low on this draft. I gave it a C-, and I'm really thinking about a D+. The more I look at this draft, the more I just don't like it. And you guys are right about Daxton Hill, and that's why I'm scared. At first they drafted him, and I was like, oh, okay, so we'll most likely play corner. But then I just realized, oh, wait a minute, Jesse Bates isn't re-signed. And Now that makes me a little bit worried about him. So I don't know. I really don't like this draft. It's just I don't even think it's average. I think it's below average.
That's fair. I gave it a C+. I was a little. I honestly, it might be a C now. I'm looking back on it, but the Daxton Hill pick is that's a fun pick for that secondary. And you're like, oh, that's awesome when you fit him in that secondary. It's then you think about it, wait, they haven't signed Jesse Bates yet. And with guys like T. Higgins and then Joe Burrow and then eventually Jamar Chase coming up for extensions, they might be thinking, hey, we got to start saving up some money here. So I don't like it from the fact that they're, this might be a move signaling, hey, we're ready to let Jesse walk and we're going to let him walk, which I don't love for that defense. I really think he's a great player in that defense. So I like Daxton Hill, the player, is a little higher for me, but if that means you're losing Jesse Bates, that makes me dislike the pick even more. Cam Taylor-Britt, I was a lot lower on. Zachary Carter was a lot lower on. And then there were 3 final picks were picks I kind of like. Cordell Volson I was a little bit higher on, or right around the range where I had him. And then Tyson Anderson, I actually like that pick a lot. And Jeffrey Gunter, I like that pick a lot. But when the picks where I start to really like them are in your 4th, 5th, and 7th round, then there starts to be a little bit of an issue there. So yeah, looking back, it might be a C for me, but very average draft for the Bengals.
And just real quick, and I'm still going to continue to push my theory, except I'm going to push it towards next year. The Bengals are going to draft the wide receiver next year. Go ahead. Get upset because I know everybody likes their trio. I will continue to say it. Tyler Boyd will not be a Bengal after this season. I have been saying this for a while.
It's going to be hard.
And it's going to be hard to keep quite possibly the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the league. I know they're not top tier at their best positions, but that chemistry is so good you got to keep them. So
and
Tyler Boyd and you got to sign T. Higgins and Jesse Bates might leave. Tyler Boyd, you're not paying the guy. Was he making $18 million? I'm sorry, you're gone, man.
Yeah, he's not gonna be. They're not gonna be able to keep all 3 for sure. Which I see that.
Joel Mixon, you will be gone soon too. Or did they already resign him?
I think I don't know what his contract situation is right now, but yeah, he might be a cap. We'll see too. All right, moving on to the Cleveland Browns. I'll start with this one. I was okay with this draft. I ended up giving them where is it right now? I ended up giving a B to them. I thought it was okay. I like Martin Emerson actually a lot more. This is a pick that a lot of people did not like at 68th overall. I was a lot higher on Emerson than the consensus was. I had him at 42. on my board. I was a big fan of him. I think he was severely misutilized at Mississippi State. As we mentioned before, he played a lot of all coverage at Mississippi State, which is just not his game. He's a lengthier corner. You want him in press coverage, and he just never did that at Mississippi State. And when he played in press coverage, he looked really, really good there. And the Browns are a team that like to run a little bit of press coverage. So I think that's a guy that will work in that scheme. You got Denzel Ward there, who just became the highest paid corner in the league. You just drafted Greg Newsome. And so now you got, Martin Emerson in there. I really started to really like that secondary. Alex Wright was a guy that I late in the process watched, and he launched up my board. I ended up with him at 81 overall. They took him at 78, so I like that pick too. It's right around the range I had him. He's a very productive player, very athletic player at UAB. Another guy who was very productive but not very athletic was David Bell. And if there's any team that I think, hey, David Bell could work, it's the Cleveland Browns. Because as you remember, Jarvis Landry is one of the worst athletes at the wide receiver position. Like, he literally tested out like a third percentile athlete at receiver. He was great in Cleveland. I think David Bell, now that you lost Jarvis Landry, could work in that offense as a complementary piece to Amari Cooper. Perrion Winfrey, I like that pick too. Hated taking Cade York in the 4th round. Hated that pick. I think they could have gone a lot of other ways other than taking a kicker at 124. Like, that was absurd in my opinion. I like the Isaiah Thomas pick in the 7th round. Jerome Ford was a fine pick. Michael Woods was whatever. I didn't really scout him too much, admittedly. And Dawson Deaton, I thought, was a pretty decent pick too. So Cleveland Browns ultimately had a above average draft, and I ended up settling on a B for them.
Shout out real quick, Nick, and I'll let you guys just want to say this one thing. Shout out Perrion Winfrey. He actually went to the school that I'm going to. Didn't know that until today.
Where are you going?
I go to Iowa Western Community College, and he was there. He was a JUCO
Awesome.
kid who
Wow,
was,
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I didn't know that either. I was doing an assignment. I do this once a week, an assignment where I recap the sports on campus. I went on the website, and it said, congratulations to former Iowa Western Reaver Perrion Winfrey. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay,
wow.
He went here. So I didn't know that. So
A+.
Yeah, shout out.
Browns.
Yeah,
those
JUCO
guys. Those JUCO guys are more and more now that the transfer portal's a thing. I can tell you that.
By the way, back-to-back years, real quick, back-to-back years, they had a defensive tackle drafted in back-to-back years.
I know Iowa Western's very good.
Yeah, it is. And last year, a person who also went here, who was drafted last year, Max's favorite person ever, Davion Nixon.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, fun fact.
There you go. I had this B- in the Browns, which is what we had as a group. Emerson pick I liked. Was around the range I would have taken him. I don't think it's ever wrong to take a corner, quite frankly. I think that position in receiver, like, you can just take one of those guys at any point, any time, and I'd be okay with it. Alex Wright, he's big. I don't know how athletic he is. He didn't test. I don't hate him as a player. He was a guy I looked at late. I had kind of an early 5th on him, so it was a little early for me. I didn't entirely see it for him. I know some people became high on him. David Bell was actually a guy I obviously dropped because I initially had a 1st-round grade on him after he tested like crap, quite frankly. But at that point in the draft, like, great pick. Perrion Winfrey, great pick. Jerome Ford was fine. Michael Woods, I didn't know much about. So, man, I liked that they took a center, even if it was late in the draft. And Isaiah Thomas is a good pick. Quite frankly, this draft is probably good in my eyes if they didn't just spend a 4th-round pick on a kicker, like Max said.
Yeah. What do they got?
I mean, I'm low on this draft, man. Like, I don't know, man. They took players I like, but I just felt like they should have addressed the wide receiver need earlier, especially when there were guys there that you should have taken. I like David Bell, but I just have a lot of concerns about it. I mean, yeah, Max is right. It could work out for them, like it worked out with Jarvis Landry, but he also had his best years in Miami, so I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of this draft, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Martin Emerson. Like, you drafted Greg Newsome last year, and I felt like there were way bigger needs on this roster than corner. And I understand Nick is right when those are positions that you should be drafting a lot. I just felt like there were better and bigger needs on that team, especially if you don't know if your quarterback is going to be playing for how many games this year. You need to improve that roster as much as you can, especially when you're in a division with the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Steelers, and all those are very good rosters. And yes, they improved it, but they just didn't improve their needs to me.
That's very fair. I hate to go first. I feel like I messed that up. So let's go to the Steelers now. If you guys don't mind, I'll just take this real quick. The Kenny Pickett.
Go ahead, Max.
Kenny Pickett. Because I wasn't live for the show. The Kenny Pickett pick stinks. I hate that pick.
Oh, come on, man.
I really dislike that pick, especially considering you look at the next quarterback taken, which was Desmond Ridder.
Man.
Where was Desmond Ridder? 74th overall. So you took the next quarterback 54 picks before the QB2 went off the board, which I absolutely hated, especially considering you could have gotten Malik Wilson in the freaking third round, which is absurd. The Steelers pulled off a smokescreen, which good for them. I mean, Najee Harris last year, we all knew he was going to be a 24th overall pick, and they took him there. I was sure of that Malik Wilson is going to be a Steeler, whether by trade up. And then when he fell to 20, I was like, this has to be the pick. Like, it has to be. And he wasn't. It was Kenny Pickett, the Pittsburgh guy. Kenny Pickett is a high floor guy. I don't even know if he's going to beat out Mitch Trubisky, to be quite honest. And if that happens, if he does,
come on,
Donnie, if that happens, this is a waste of a pick. Because what the hell are you drafting him for then? This is a high floor quarterback. Sure. Not even a high floor. This is an okay floor quarterback.
No,
not a high
quarterback. You're underrated.
No, I am not. He's Sam Darnold. No, I'm not. He's Sam Darnold.
That is just so mean to the guy who almost won the Heisman last year. That is just so mean.
I don't think Kenny Pickett, he's a fifth year. I mean, listen, I'm not a huge fan of Kenny Pickett. The rest of the draft, I actually was a big fan of. George Pickens, a lot of character concerns for him, which is why I fell to 52. I like that pick if you can, stay clean on the field. DeMarvin Leal, I thought was a really good pick, very good value at 84. Calvin Austin, third, awesome pick at 138. Like the skill position players for the Steelers are really good. They're good at running back, receiver, tight end. I'm just unconvinced that Kenny Pickett could be the guy. They got Connor Hayward. So now the Steelers have 4 sets of brothers on their team, which is absolutely insane. And then Mark Robinson and Chris Olave. I don't really, haven't scouted too much of them, but I don't know. Right after the Kenny Pickett pick, I was rooting for Sam Howell or Malik Willis to just draft another one, just try to get another guy. It's a high. I am being a little too harsh on Kenny Pickett. I liked him enough. I liked him as a second-round pick. I just think he's a high-floor quarterback, and this is a team that really has the environment in terms of the good players around him and in terms of the coaching that you can get a high-ceiling quarterback to work. I hate taking a high-floor quarterback. I don't think that's the way this team should be going right now. So Kenny Pickett, I hate it. I didn't like the pick at all, and it ended up getting the draft ended up getting a B- for me.
I do think it is a little bit ironic how the Steelers took a wide receiver with off-field issues. I don't know why. I just think that's kind of funny with all the issues they've had with Chase Claypool and Juju. He'll be good, though, because George Pickens is good, and he should not have fallen that far. I thought the Kenny Pickett pick was fine. I thought it was fine. I prefer Malik, but to say he's Sam Darnold, that's just mean. That's
my comp.
So
I'm not
mean.
saying he's going to be as good. It's just my comp of what I see in him.
I know, but that's just I don't know. He's fine.
You said Drew Lock. You said Drew Lock.
I did, and I'm calling you out. That's the crazy thing. I mean, I would rather have Drew Lock on my team than Sam Darnold. I'll go ahead and say that real quick. But I thought,
yeah,
of course.
It's whatever. But Kenny Pickett, it's a fine pick. They want to compete now. Fine. I would have taken Malik, but Max is over here saying it's like an F- pick, which I don't really understand.
No, it's a C. It's fine, but they could have swung for the fences here and they didn't do it.
Okay, then yeah, I agree. Okay, yeah, I agree.
I hate that.
Okay.
I hate that line of thinking.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then round 2, they took George Pickens, like we said. That he shouldn't be there, and the fact that a couple other wide receivers who we'll get to pretty soon were taken ahead of him was a joke. You'll hear me hate on those receivers a lot. DeMarvin Leal, I thought was a great pick. I mean, there were a lot of question marks about after the season how he just kind of performed a lot worse, and we all knew he was going to fall, but we didn't really know where he'd be taken. I think Pittsburgh's a good fit for him, so you can plug him in right away. He'll get some playing time. Probably won't be a starter until next year. I thought Calvin Austin in the 4th round, once again, another great pick. Just insane speed, and I feel like they kind of need that in that offense. They don't really have a speed guy because, Deontay Johnson's the route runner. Pickens is just Pickens, and Claypool are the athletic big guys. And now you get a speed wide receiver with Calvin Austin. Connor Hayward is whatever. Reunited with his brother. That's the only reason they took him, which, whatever. It's the 6th round. Who cares? Mark Robinson, I did not watch, and I did not watch the South Dakota State quarterback. So overall, I thought it was a fine draft. I would probably say I would easily say the second best draft in their division behind the Ravens.
I gave it a B-. The Pickett pick was, like Max said, it didn't really swing for anything there. I think they kind of just did it because he's from Pittsburgh, and that was Kind of. Although I've had some discussions, and it sounds like majority of NFL teams had him QB1, because a lot of teams just kind of look at mechanics and liked his mechanics, which is stupid in my opinion. But here we are. Yeah, Pickens, Leal, Austin, all A+ picks for me. I thought those were all great. The last three, whatever. I gave him like a B- there. You know, it was a fine draft.
The funny thing is, I didn't even think about this, that TJ Watt's brother Derek Watt and Connor Hayward are probably fighting for a roster spot right now. So that's kind of interesting that Cam Hayward and TJ Watt, who are the best players on the team, their their brothers are competing for that final roster spot as a fullback.
Yeah, they'll give them to them both, knowing the Steelers.
Oh, they probably will, which is whatever. I mean, again, they have 4 sets of brothers on the team: the Edmonds, the Davises, the Watts, now the Haywards are all on the Steelers, which is crazy. All right, so let's move on to the next team. That is the AFC South now. So let's go to the Houston Texans first. Nick, what did you think about this draft?
So we gave them a C+ as a group. I gave them a C+ as well. Weird draft. Stingley, great pick, loved it. It's awesome that he got to go third. I'm so happy about that. But then Kenyon Green, way too early in my opinion. I like that they traded back, but way too early for him. Jalen Petrie, I know people liked him. I didn't as much. I didn't give that grade as bad of a pick as bad of a grade I think as I could have, but it was meh to me. Trading up to John Mechie.
Worst pick of the draft.
Big a hater as Donnie is. I don't think
worst pick of the draft. Worst pick of the draft.
I think we have a Seahawks pick that we're going to talk about next video. That's just horrendous. But and I actually like the Seahawks draft, but we'll talk about that. Mechie was too early. Trading up for Christian Harris, who I also like it was a steal, but they traded up. Dameon Pierce, sure, whatever, running back. Thomas Booker, I thought was good value at the point they took him, and then 2 guys I didn't really know. It was just kind of a weird draft.
The Texans had a roller coaster of a draft. Derek Stingley at 3. I mean, shout out Lovie Smith, dude. I mean, he said he needed to upgrade corner, and he took the right one. Like, taking Stingley with all this Sauce hype, it's harder than you think. Like, having the balls to take Stingley over Sauce with all this Sauce hype, shout out him. And if you ever, I didn't watch the phone call, but Max did, and Stingley was just a cool, just calm, collected guy because he knew he was going to go that high, which is just awesome. Shout out Derek Stingley. And then Kenyon Green, I mean, that was just an awful pick. I would argue that's probably a bottom 3 pick in the first round. I had him as my IOL 4. And he was the first IOL off the board. Taking over Zion Johnson is stupid, and I really don't get it. And then they took Jalen Petrie, which was a great second-round pick. They need safety help after losing Justin Reed. And then they took the worst pick of the whole draft. You traded up 30 spots for John Mechie, my wide receiver, 19. And honestly, I think that's too nice for him. Like, I don't see it, man. I really don't. His route running is average. His hands are bad. He's not a good athlete. He just tore his ACL. He was never the number 1 at Alabama. What's special about him? Like, what? There's nothing special about him. He's just fine. And is he even going to start on that roster? I don't know. Like, I'm talking about the Texans roster. Their roster stinks. And I don't even know if he's going to start, like not right away because he tore his ACL, but I don't know if he's even going to, like, towards the end, like maybe year 2, I don't know if he's going to start. I just don't think he's that good. And you traded up 30 spots for him. Like, I don't get it. There was so many better receivers on the board. Like, what are you doing? Like, Pickens is right there. Like, I know he took Nico Collins. I don't care. Pickens is right there. Sky Moore. Like, Khalil Shakir, there were so many better options than John Mechie. And he just tore his ACL. Like, I don't understand. And then the rest of the picks, like Nick went over it well. It's whatever. Like, this draft, it was a roller coaster of emotions. And if I had to give it a grade, I'll give it like a C.
I love you guys mentioned the Stingley pick over and over. And again, this is awesome. Like, because this guy's name has been slandered this whole process. And it's been absurd. It's like, oh, this guy might fall in the top 10. His over-under was like 12.5. Like, oh, he might get to Minnesota. No, this guy's a top 3 player in the draft. We've always been preaching this the whole freaking time since the summer, and nothing's changed. And the Texans took him, had the balls. Like, Donnie, I love that. They had the balls to take him at number 3. Awesome. I love that. That was like, you know what? Hell yeah. I love that for Houston. Watch his phone call, man, because it was like he was like, yeah, I knew I was going this high. He's like, a lot of people, talk trash about me. I knew I was going this high. After he got the phone call, actually, his mom or his grandma or someone went to him and was like, so what? He's like, just watch TV. We'll see. I was like, this guy's ready. And Lovie Smith said in the phone call, he was like, my plan for you is to follow the number one receiver. And you know what? Put him like on that Revis Island, Stingley Island. He just no safety help. Let him go, man. Just let him be his thing. Stingley would be a superstar.
Yeah, he'll be Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, Kenyon Green pick stunk. I hate that pick. It was funny because Chris Collinsworth was doing the live show, and right when they made that pick, all the PFF analysts that are on the live show like hated it. But Chris talked first, and Chris, for some reason, loved Kenyon Green, had him as a top 15 player, and he was gushing over him, and everyone just shut up. And they're like, yeah, it was a fine pick. And you could tell that they're holding back because you didn't want to go against the boss. But it was like, oh, all right, fine, we'll let them have it. The Petrie pick was fine. I didn't hate that pick. Mechie, I agree, Donnie and Nick. That pick was tough. Christian Harris, I was lower on. Dameon Pierce was fine. Thomas Booker, I thought was a decent pick. But other than that, I ended up with them. I ended up giving them a C+ for this draft, just because the Stingley pick really drags it up for me. Otherwise, it was a below average draft. Like the Stingley pick was like, wow, the Texans might be doing some things, guys. And then after that, you're like, all right, they're still the Texans. All right, so let's go to the Indianapolis Colts now, who we ended up giving a B. The Texans we gave a C+. Donnie, what do you think about the Colts draft?
So Alec Pierce, I'm higher on than you guys. I had him as a top 10 wide receiver in the class, and they took him at 53. I believe he was probably around the 10th receiver taken. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere around there. Thought that was a good pick. They like those big physical wide receivers, and I think him and Michael Pittman are going to be very well together, and Matt Ryan's going to love it. Jelani Woods in the 3rd round. I mean, I trust the Colts developing tight ends, so yeah, maybe it'll work out. He has the highest ceiling of, I'd argue, maybe any football player in this class. I mean, his ceiling is ridiculous. Like, people said Kyle Pitts was athletic, and then this guy goes to the combine and tests as the most athletic tight end we've ever seen. So definitely a high ceiling there, and he's also huge. He's like 6'7". Bernard Raymond, the 3rd round, to me, like, I had a feeling he was going to fall, but not that far. Like, that was kind of ridiculous. And you lost Eric Fisher, and I'd imagine they might plug him in and play him right away. I mean, he has Quinn Nelson. He has Quinn Nelson to the right of him, so it'll probably work out pretty well. Nick Cross in the 3rd round I thought was a very good pick as well. And then the rest of these picks, I mean, they're fine. I didn't really watch any of the rest of these guys, so I can't really comment on them entirely. Eric Johnson, though, I did watch. I did like him a lot. I did have him at about that range. I had him at around 145-ish on my board, and they took him at 159. But, I mean, this is a good draft. They had a solid draft. I'd give it probably a B.
Yeah, they took a bunch of guys at the back end that I didn't really know. On my quick review of Johnson, Ogletree, and Thomas, and I did try to go back for every player I didn't know and do some research into them, and I didn't really love any of those guys. This is one of the few teams that I just legitimately, when I went and looked at a guy, I just couldn't find reasons for why they would have taken him. Curtis Brooks' pick was good in the 6th round. I loved Bernard Raymond. Can't believe he went after Luke Gadecki, who,
that was absurd.
That was shocking.
Like, I moved Gadecki up on my board, but dude, that guy has had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, that was wild to me. And then Nick Cross, I'm like a huge fan of. If you watch this podcast, at the end of the 3rd round for me was a major value. The first 2 picks, though, Alec Pierce was a little rich for my blood. That pick wasn't great, in my opinion, although I don't hate the player. It was a little early for me, about a round too early. And then Jelani Woods, I had kind of low on my board. I don't really see the athleticism translating to his game. I know they're good at developing tight ends. I kind of like some other teams a little bit more when it comes to developing tight ends, quite frankly. But I don't know. I just early 3rd, like, I don't know. Yeah. The guy didn't really do much in college. I know he's a great athlete, but like, I don't know. There's a reason like Amari Barno didn't go this early either.
Yeah. I settled on a B+ for them, and I think the Alec Pierce pick was. I'm not a big fan of Alec Pierce.
I had a C+, by the way. I didn't say.
Yeah. I was pretty high. So the Jelani Woods pick I kind of like. I like pairing him with Mo Alley Cox. I think that's a really, really awesome tight end duo. And if they could develop him like they develop Mo Alley Cox, it could work. The Bernard Raymond pick is really the reason why I'm so high in this draft, because the Bernard Raymond, like 77, man, like that is freaking insane. Like this guy, the athleticism is absurd with him. And yes, he's 25 years old, but what you're forgetting about him is that 2 years ago, and for the rest of his life before 2 years ago, he was a tight end, and he came over from Austria, and he's just learning to play offensive tackle. And he was the highest graded offensive tackle in the country. Yes, Central Michigan, but against LSU and other teams like that, and Missouri, he showed up, and he showed, hey, it's not just in the MAC. I'm dominating everyone else. So the Bernard Raymond, the upside is there. I get 25 years old saying a 25-year-old is upside is weird. He's got upside. The athleticism is there, and he's just learning the position. This guy was a top 20 player on my board. I had him OT4 in this class. For him to go 77 is absurd. And Nick, you mentioned like the second Central Michigan offensive tackle off the board. That makes no sense to me. Nick Cross, another pick I really loved. And we mentioned this in one of our past videos. I forget which one. Curtis Brooks was a guy that I went back and watched. He's freaking awesome, man. He tested out really well. He was a very good run defender, very good pass rusher. I ended up having, I think, a third-round grade on him. And for the Colts to pick him up in the 6th round, like that is awesome. And yeah, early third-round grade I had in Curtis Brooks. And for them to get him at 216 is freaking insane, like late 6th round even. So the Colts had 3 picks that I just was head over heels for. Bernard Raymond was awesome. I liked the Jelani Woods pick. Didn't like the Alec Pierce pick, but Nick Cross, Bernard Raymond, and Curtis Brooks were 3 home run picks for the Colts, and that's why they have a B+. They had some head scratchers, especially at the top with Alec Pierce, but otherwise I really like what they did. So let's go over to the Jaguars draft. Nick, what do you think about this?
Ugh. That's kind of the noise that they make for this draft. This draft was, I mean, look, we talked. I don't want to spend time on Travon Walker. Can we just make that agreement right now? Like, we don't have to. Like, we've talked about this so much. Like, F, right? Even if PFF had him 12th on their board, I think that's too high. Even at 12th on their board, they're like, that's an F pick. It's an F. We know this. Yeah. All right. Trade up for Devin Lloyd. All right, I really like Devin Lloyd, but you traded up for a linebacker. All right, cool. Mm-hmm. That pick is like their best pick in this draft, quite frankly. Trading up for a linebacker is their best pick. Yeah. 3rd round, Luke Fortner had a 5th round grade on him. Way too early for me. He's a center, not like a valuable position. Not a fan. Next pick, Chad Muma, good value, like the player. 3rd linebacker on the roster. Like, you already paid for you, Luakon. You drafted this guy's not playing. Like, just makes no sense at all. Like, what are we doing? It's like drafting 4 straight tight ends. Like, what are we doing here? Like, makes no sense at all. 5th round. Donnie's going to talk about this one. Snoop Connor, his favorite.
You took the wrong one.
That's what I said, Donnie. I said the same thing would have happened. I was like, what are we doing?
There were 2 there, and you took the wrong one. Oh. You didn't even need a running back, and you still took the wrong one.
It took a kid from Wakita Baptist. I don't know. Cool. Monteric Brown. He was probably one of the better picks, quite frankly, in this draft class in the 7th round. I gave it a D+. It was bad.
Oh, man, I can't keep a straight face. This draft stunk. It was awful. This draft is honestly, it has a good argument for being as bad as the Patriots. It really does. I mean, we're not going to talk about Travon Walker. When your best pick is a linebacker trading up, not ideal. I mean, Nicky explained it well. I just want to deep dive into this real quick. You took the wrong running back. You didn't even need a running back, and you still took the wrong one. Literally, you took the wrong Ole Miss running back. Jerrion Ealy, I had as a top 4 running back in this draft. Somehow he goes undrafted, which I don't get. Like, yeah, I understand he's small. Dude, he produced so well at Ole Miss. Like, what are we doing? Why did this guy go undrafted? Let alone, I didn't even know who this guy was, by the way. I didn't know who this was. Like, I watched so many games of Matt Corral, and I watched a lot of games of Jerrion Ealy. I didn't know who this guy was, and I'm stunned when I saw his name up because
and it's another running back. Like, they've drafted
what are we doing here?
Here's the funny part. Whenever I saw that pop up, my first thought was, wait a minute, they put the wrong name, and I was like, oh wait, no, that guy actually exists.
No, it's a real player.
Yeah, that's a real player. So Jaguars, it's not an F, but it's pretty close to it. I'd probably give it a D, maybe a D+.
I gave it a D+, and you guys mentioned it really well. I mean, the one thing what sums it up really well, in my opinion, is you took to protect the ultimate golden boy, golden ticket Trevor Lawrence. You took a center who was way overdrafted, in my opinion, in Luke Fortner, and a backup running back at Ole Miss. Those were the only 2. Those were the only 2 offensive players they took in this draft. What are you doing to help out Trevor Lawrence? And it's not even like Urban Meyer is there anymore. Trent Baalke is an abomination. I'm sorry. He's an abomination. Travon Walker at 1. I know we're not going to talk about it. Terrible. The least productive first-round pick I think I've ever seen. I know the athletic upside, but still. Devin Lloyd I like. But, Nick, you mentioned it. No NFL team is playing 3 linebackers anymore. So why are we taking Chad Muma and Devin Lloyd to go along with overpaying for Luke? I don't understand any of this draft. This is a D-plus draft. You're not even helping out Trevor Lawrence at all. We're going to get into another team who's not helping out their second-year quarterback that they should in the next video. But my God, the Jaguars. I don't understand this draft. I agree with you guys that this is sneakily one of the worst drafts that we saw.
It is the worst draft.
Yeah.
It is really close. It really is. I mean, we'll get to the other ones soon.
Yeah, considering who they have at quarterback, and you took an okay center but way overdrafted and a backup running back who should not have been drafted. That's the only two offensive players I don't understand. All right, Titans up next. Donnie, what do you think about the Titans?
Okay, so Treylon Burks at 18 is good. He's a good A.J. Brown replacement, but if we're including in the A.J. Brown trade, then I mean, it's money reasons, and I've never really been the biggest fan of drafting people because of money issues. So, I mean, it's still a good pick, and he's still a good player, and I had him as a top 20 player in the class. So, I mean, it's a good pick. I just don't really like it in terms of trading A.J. Brown. Roger McCreary at 35, I thought it was crazy that he was taking over Booth. I don't hate it. I just thought it was crazy with all that late-round hype that Booth was getting, and he was like the seventh corner off the board.
I heard really bad medicals for Booth.
That's probably why. But
I heard really bad medicals.
Oh yeah, that's probably why. But I just heard so much. Oh, this guy's going to get taken over McDuffie, and it just didn't happen. Nicholas Petit-Frere 39, I thought was a horrible pick. I was lower on him than you guys were. I didn't even have him as a top 69.
Which means it's going to work out, by the way. 69 picks.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, not this guy, unfortunately. I had this guy in my top 160, not in my top 150. I thought this was a bad pick. You need tackle, and you took this guy over Bernard Raymond.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, come on, what are you doing? And then maybe the pick of the draft, Malik Willis. You pissed off Ryan Tannehill, but who cares? You got the highest upside of any quarterback in this draft, and you possibly, if you develop him right, you could have a top 5, maybe even top 3 quarterback. Like, if we're talking about tools, I've said this before, he's in the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson range when it comes to those toolsy quarterbacks with really high ceilings. Like, he's in that range. Maybe not Lamar Jackson, but he's still like Lamar Jackson when he had that MVP year. Like, that's what he quite possibly could be at his best. Hassan Haskins, I thought was weird. I don't know why you're taking a power back when you have Derrick Henry. I thought you should maybe go after some speed, but maybe you don't want to bank on the fact Derrick Henry gets hurt again, so maybe it's just going to take a power back. I don't really hate it. I'm not going to pronounce that tight end's name because I'm done trying to pronounce that name and make myself look like an idiot. The Maryland tight end, fine pick, I guess. I'm just not a big fan of this tight end class. I had him as like a top 8 tight end in the class. Like, it was a reach, but whatever.
Chigo Okonkwo is his name. Chigozie.
Okay, he said it. I'm not saying it. Kyle Phillips in the 5th round was a joke. Why was he there? Like, I was lower on him than most people, and that's still an absolute joke that he fell to 163. He could possibly be your day one starting slot receiver, and that's how good he is in the slot. Overall, I thought this was a really good draft. I mean, obviously, there's some later round guys who I didn't really watch. Theo Jackson and then Chance Campbell. I didn't watch those guys, so I can't really comment on them. But overall, I thought it was a good draft. But the trading away A.J. Brown thing makes me lower it from possibly an A- to about a B, maybe B+.
Yeah.
I had a B-, which is good. It's a good grade from me. Sorry. This is just my scale works. B- is a good grade.
Shameful.
Didn't like the A.J. Brown thing. The Nick Petit-Frere pick I did like, unlike Donnie, but it's whatever. Chigo Okonkwo and Kyle Phillips are very interesting fits in this offense. I think they fit well. If even, Okonkwo I had lower, and I still think like if they could make something win this offense with him. Chance Campbell, really good special teamer. That's why they took him late. I was okay with that. Say this for every team that did this. Malik Willis 3rd round. If he hits, the draft's an A+. Doesn't matter what else happened.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So I had Treylon Burks, wide receiver 1. So obviously I love him at 18 there. I don't love the A.J. Brown trade, but then again, like my comp for Treylon Burks was A.J. Brown. So, I think it fits. He's got to, produce like A.J. Brown, and I don't know if he will, but I think he could fit that role really well in that offense. I love Roger McCreary. I think he's a really good player. You guys mentioned it. The Malik Willis 86 was the most dumbfounded I've ever been because it's like, how do teams pass up that athletic upside, that potential 3 times? And when you see raw quarterbacks with tools like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, who the production in college was whatever, like Malik Willis, but they're superstars in the NFL because they got good coaching and it finally works when they put it all together. Malik Willis can be like that. How have we not learned? How has this not been ingrained in our heads? How have the Steelers taken Kenny Pickett with not the tools even close to Malik Willis, but instead, Malik Willis falls to 86 overall. Like, I thought this guy was a lock to be a first-round pick, and for him to go in the third round was stupid. I couldn't. Late third round too was dumb. So otherwise, this is like Nick said, A+ draft if he hits, and Treylon Burks if they hit. Oh my God, like that quarterback receiver duo if they both hit could be awesome. And what I love too, real quick about Malik Willis, and then we'll move on. Third round pick, you're not trusting him to start day one. Like, this guy's going to sit for 2 more years. Tannehill's contract, you can't really get out of it for at least 2 more years. Then you could say in year 3.
Actually, real quick, they have a potential outing with him after this year.
Okay, yeah, but a lot of what I'm hearing is that they might keep him for 2 more years.
Yeah.
If you say Malik Willis starting year 3, let's go, man. Like that, I love that. Yeah. I love Malik Willis sitting for 2 years. Not like Trey Lance, who is a third overall pick. So there's pressure. There's pressure for him to start right now because he's taking that high. Malik Willis is an 86 overall pick. Who cares? Let him sit for a couple years. I love this situation with the great coaching they have in Tennessee too. So Malik Willis, A+. I had an A draft for the Titans. I thought this is awesome. I love the Treylon Burks pick too. And gave him an A-. So let's go to the AFC East now. Nick, what do you think about the Bills?
All right, Bills. Got some good players. Uninspiring for me. I gave him a C+. It was, I like Kyrie Elam. They traded up for him. That kind of hurt the grade a little bit for me. They took a running back, a linebacker, a punter, had some late round picks. Overall, I don't, the difference makers for me, it's kind of, they're not really there, And I like James Cook. I like Terrell Bernard. I don't know that either's gonna have a major impact on that team. Khalil Shakir was the best pick to me, but this just felt like tough to upgrade an already great roster. But I think they could have done a little bit better than spending on a bunch of low value position picks.
Fair.
Khalil Shakir might be their starting slot receiver day one. I really hope he is.
We did forget that they signed Jamison Crowder on the stream, by the way, Dommy. We forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. I forget he's a person at times.
Yeah, I do too, quite frankly.
Yeah. So Kyrie Elam in the first round. I'm so happy he was CB4 off the board, and I'm so happy he was a first-round pick because his tape screams first-round pick. And by the way, all those people saying, effort issues, go watch his reaction to getting drafted because he literally on the phone said, hey, can I have the playbook on my way there? And then also during the meeting, he came in with a full book of notes over games that he watched of himself. And he was like, all right, here's what I did wrong. Here's what I did right. Here's what I can do better. So all those people saying effort issues, sorry, he's going to be amazing, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait to prove every single one of you guys wrong because Kyrie Elam's tape is amazing, and he's an easy, in my opinion, top 15 pick, but he went to 23rd, and he's going to be amazing in Buffalo with Troy White. The rest of the picks, though, were kind of whatever. James Cook, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm low on Terrell Bernard. I didn't even have him as a top 200 player, but oof. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't really watch enough of him, but I wasn't that impressed. Khalil Shakir was arguably one of the best picks of the draft. What are we doing?
That's crazy.
I'm lower on him than most people. I'm wide receiver 14. That's still ridiculous that he fell to the 5th round. I thought this guy was a lock to be. Yeah, I thought this guy was going to be a lock to be a day 2 pick. But, Khalil Shakir is great. Obviously, Matt Array's a punt god. Whatever. You drafted a punter in the 6th round. Who cares? And then the rest of the picks, I didn't really know who most of these guys were. However, Balin Spector, my friend told me about him. This is a high-ceiling guy who's really bad right now. That's what he told me about him. So don't necessarily take my exact word for it. But what he told me is that this is a guy who should sit for a couple years, and maybe down the line he can be a good starter eventually. But you're taking guys in the 7th round, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. I actually was a little higher on this draft. I gave it a B+. I love the Kyrie Elam pick for all the reasons you said, Donnie. I think he's a great fit in that scheme too, opposite Tre'Davious White. Khalil Shakir is one of my favorite picks of the draft. So I actually had this guy at number 43 overall on my board. You got him at 148, over 100 spots lower than what I had him at. I think he is going to be a slam. He's a great slot receiver. That's his role in the NFL as a slot receiver. Awesome. You got Stephon Diggs, you got Gabriel Davis, and you had Jameson Crowder there. But if you can split time between those 2 picks, you got a 5th round starting slot receiver. Love it. Awesome pick. It's going to fit awesome with Josh Allen. I cannot wait to see that. Matt Array's a punt god. I think he's a little overrated than what people are saying, but still he's a phenomenal punter. 6th round pick too. When all these guys are going 4th round, all these specialists, and you got the guy who's -600 to be the first specials taken in the 6th round, 2 rounds later. Love that. Luke Sanu is another pick I really like too. So overall, the Bills had a really good draft, B+ in my opinion. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins now. Donnie, what do you think about this?
The draft does not matter because they had 4 picks. So no one of them necessarily really mattered. Channing Tindall is the only one I'm going to talk about. It was a good pick. Leo Chanel would have been a better pick, and it looks even worse. It looks even worse that the team took Leo Chanel right after that pick, and we'll get to that team eventually. But this draft does not matter. Tua, please be good. You have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Please be good. Or if not, I'm going to slander you because slandering Tua is fun.
We got Skylar Thompson now to maybe replace Tua.
Yeah, QB1, Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
Would have liked to see it.
Hey, listen. Who has the stronger arm? I think that's a question that needs to be asked.
That's true.
I saw Chad Reuter had Skylar Thompson in the early 4th round, so I don't know, man.
Okay.
Which is better than Sam Howell, so
That's true.
The Dolphins didn't take an offensive lineman, so that's kind of my takeaway here. Tyndall pick, sure. Eric Ezukanma, who I thought was okay, like a late 6th on, fits them because they like Yak. It's the Niners scheme now. I think that this Skylar Thompson pick is quite frankly just like lighting a pick on fire. Like he's not going to do anything. Like that might go, but this is just, it's a C because it's not going to affect them at all. Like this draft didn't matter.
No.
They took 2 linebackers and didn't take an offensive lineman.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Cam Good's like an edge, but yeah, true. No offensive lineman, which is insane. I agree with that. I gave it a C+. I really the only reason I gave it a C+ because I like Channing Tindall a lot. I think at 102 it was a really good pick. I ended up Channing Tindall at 54 on my board, so I think that was a really good value for them. I think he's going to fit that defense really well. He flies. Every Georgia linebacker flies. Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, and now Channing Tindall, all of them fly. I love that fit in Miami. Eric Ezukanma, I watched a little bit. I think it was a little bit of a reach for him. Cam Good, I admittedly did not watch at all. Skylar Thompson, I wouldn't have drafted, but whatever. And like a C+, it's fine. It's just a fine draft. You drafted Tyreek Hill. Is basically what you did. You trade all those picks for Tyreek. Congratulations. Let's go to here we go. Let's go to the Patriots now. Nick, what do you think about this Patriots draft?
So this is the draft we were like, this is the worst draft. Apparently, I actually like the Jaguars less. But this draft sucked. Yeah. Well, here's my thing. Okay. They traded back when they took Cole Strange, so that makes it feel a little bit better. The Cole Strange pick sucks, but you know what? He's gonna be. I feel like he's gonna be a good player. Like maybe this is the Belichick thing, but I just and I know it was way too early for a guard, even if he ends up being good. But I like Cole Strange. I do. I had like a mid-3rd on him. It's just you probably could have gotten him much later, and that's the problem here. The real pick to me that is just like borderline, like we need to fire everyone, is trading up for Tyquan Thornton.
Oh,
it's like, oh, what is this, 2004? Like, oh, this guy's fast, draft him high, cool. No, that pick was terrible. Marcus Jones' pick was good, and then it was a lot of meh. Like Jack Jones, too small. Kevin Harris, like that's another running back. There's a second running back they drafted. Pierre Strong alike. They already have a lot of running backs. Jason Hines, Sam Roberts, whatever. I did like Andrew Stuber. That was a good value. Bailey Zappi, I thought was a good pick because I think they do need a backup QB. But I don't know. They just didn't really impact their roster much other than adding some speed, refortifying their O-line, and making sure they have running backs forever.
It's Bill Belichick. So,
Marcus Jones may be the best wide receiver they drafted.
That's true. You hear that they're going to play him receiver too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They might play.
That's crazy.
Marcus Jones was the only good pick they had, and he's a slot corner.
Yeah,
that's all I need to say. That's really an unbelievable
returner. Yeah.
This is just you can
returner.
see Belichick's understanding of football in this draft, and that's all you need to know. This is how he's like kick returner, guards, fast guys, O-line. Cool. Yeah. We will win a Super Bowl.
And speed. A lot of speed. This draft sucked. I really don't have much to say. Nick kind of covered it. Cole Strange was awful, and the Rams. Did you guys ever see that Rams video? How they were laughing because they thought they were gonna get him in the 3rd round. That just makes the pick look so much worse. Shout out Bill Belichick, and you know what, Cole Strange, you could quite possibly be the greatest guard of all time because it's Bill Belichick we're talking about. But at the same time, I'm also thinking I don't know what he's doing, and I genuinely believe he's getting worse as each year passes by. Like, he's an awful GM, and I think he's becoming a bad coach.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll ever be a bad coach, but the tweet I sent out after they took Cole Strange and Tyquan Thornton, which were horrible picks. But I sent out a tweet. I was like, the combined ranking of Cole Strange and Tyquan Thornton on my big board was 309. The combined picks that they took him were 79. What are we doing here? And look, I understand so many Patriots fans probably me in the comments be like, well, the Patriots are great because they always think differently than the teams. In the draft, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be considering the consensus ranking of these guys because they'll be available there. Most likely, the consensus board that Arif Hassan puts together from The Athletic is awesome work. He puts together a consensus board of all the big media outlets. That has a really high correlation of where these guys actually are taken. And you should keep that in mind and say, hey, we don't need to take Cole Strange. You could have Cole Strange. I don't care. You could have him number 1 overall on your board. I don't care. Don't take him at 29. You can have him at 57 or 74 or something like that. Taking him at 29, by the way, the first ever Chattanooga player taken in the first round. Before Cole Strange, the highest drafted Chattanooga player was none other than Terrell Owens. So that might be a sign for Cole Strange. We'll see.
Cole Strange, wide receiver 1.
Yeah, exactly. Tyquan, better than Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton was, especially with the receivers on the board, my God, what was that? Tyquan Thornton, I had like a 7th rounder. I understand he actually played better than I expected at Baylor, but I did not like that pick. Marcus Jones pick I loved. Bailey Zappi over Sam Howell. I understand the role that you're drafting him for. You're not going to want to compete Sam Howell against Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi won't do that. He won't ever compete with Mac Jones. It'd be a good replacement if Mac Jones ever gets injured. He'll run that offense to perfection, which is really what Bill wants. I don't think he wants a Sam Howell who's going to maybe have a higher ceiling but might create some bad plays, some headaches for you. But
all these teams, man, they just want to avoid QB drama. That's what it is. They just want to avoid it.
Taking Bailey Zappi is just like, I understand the role and what you're picturing for him, and you already have Mac Jones, but just like the thought process of saying, yeah, Bailey Zappi over Sam Howell. That is just like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Otherwise, this draft stunk. This draft really, really stunk. And they could turn into good players. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you could have had them later. And Bill Belichick, who loves trading down, could have traded down even more and gotten these players later. So, yes, I'm not saying these guys are going to stink in the NFL. I'm just saying they could have had him later, and they refused to do that. So I wasn't a big fan of it. All right, final team in the AFC East. Let's go to the New York Jets. Donnie, what did you think about them?
Another draft that I gave out 3 A+, and this was another one. They crushed it. Sauce at 4. Robert Saleh is going to make him look absolutely amazing. He won't be Richard Sherman. Once again, I'll say it again. Thank you, Max. He will not be Richard Sherman, but he will be a great press man corner for a long time. He's going to a division where the wide receivers actually no. I guess Tyreek Hill is there now too, isn't he? Ugh. So I guess the wide receivers there are relatively harder, but Robert Saleh will make it work. He's a smart guy. I think I trust him with him. Garrett Wilson at 10, I thought was an A+ pick. He got the best receiver in the draft when he was the second one off the board. Even though Drake London was the better fit, obviously he wasn't there, so you took the best one, like left that wouldn't necessarily fit your scheme, but just the best one. And I thought that was a great pick. Also, the Wilson to Wilson connection is going to be fire. Yeah. And then Jermaine Johnson, you traded back up into the first to get him. I was stunned he fell that far. That's probably about the range I would have taken him, but like I'm still stunned he fell that far with all that hype he was getting. But still, great pick. Robert Saleh will make him look good. He needs pass rushers. Him and Carlos. It's Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson. Yep. Yes, I always call him Carlos Dunlap. It's not Carlos Dunlap. I always do. I always get their names mixed up. And then Breece Hall in the second round. I know Nick's probably going to hate the pick because trading up for a running back, but you did it in the second round, so I'm not that mad about it. And also, he's going to make Zach Wilson look so much better. Zach Wilson thrives on play action, and now you finally have a run game with Breece Hall, who, in my opinion, was the best running back in the draft, and it wasn't really particularly close. You have a run game, and Zach Wilson will look much better. And then Jeremy Ruckert at 101, I thought was a decent pick. I know Nick told me that story about PJ, and I hope you say it again on this because it was really, really funny. And then Max Mitchell was all right, I guess, and then the rest of the picks were whatever. Michael Clemens I actually did watch, and that was a big reach. I had this guy at like edge 27. Like, that was a big reach.
Yeah, that was a reach.
Yeah, but the rest of these picks were obviously fantastic. Max Mitchell, all those guys in the first and second round, like those Jeremy Rucker, those are all good picks. I give it an A+, but I will say this: I think it's closer. It's weird, man. Like I want to say A, but I just can't. I'm gonna give it an A+.
Yeah, PJ, not a big fan of Jeremy Ruckert because he went to St. Anthony's rival high school, which I believe is Archbishop Stefanak, which also produced Troy Williams last year. Has produced some NFL talent, and now has to root for Jeremy Ruckert because he's a Jets fan, which is hilarious. Yeah, I like this draft a lot. Again, my B+ is the normal A, so I gave it a B+, but it's a really
Nick just hates. Look,
that is a really good grade. All right, that's just the way the scale. It's a math scale, and that's how it spits it out. So that's what's going to be. Look, you wanted to help Zach Wilson, unlike what the Bears did with Justin Fields. We'll talk about that in the next video. They did it, right? They got a wide receiver. They got the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. They got a tight end I like, Jeremy Ruckert, around where I was taking him. Max Mitchell, I think, in that zone scheme, especially if they move him to guard, I think could actually, I think that's where he needs to be is as a guard in a zone scheme. Michael Clemons, I like the developmental player. Got defense. You've got good players like defense. I know they traded up for Jermaine Johnson, but they had him and Sauce Gardner. Those are studs potentially on your defense. You just needed good players in this roster. I liked Breece Hall at that spot. I didn't like trading up for a running back. I never will. And they traded up twice, which again, like we just kind of don't like the value of trading up either, unless it's a quarterback. But ultimately, like this was a really good draft. Like I'm not going to really pick it too much.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an A. We ended up giving him an A as well. Sauce Gardner is a picture perfect scheme fit. Like honestly, it's tough to say because Stingley I love, and I think he's substantially better. I'm not substantially better, but I think Stingley is a better corner than Sauce Gardner. I might have taken Sauce Gardner if both of them were on the board if I were the Jets, but just because I think in that scheme, like Richard Sherman is the only other corner I can see being a better scheme fit than Sauce Gardner. Like I think that is just awesome. That is exactly what the Jets need in that scheme. I'm so happy they got him there at 4, which is still good value. I had him as a top 5 player. I think it was decent value for him. Garrett Wilson, I was so scared they're going to go Jermaine Johnson here. They took Garrett Wilson, which I loved because I thought Drake London was a better scheme fit, but he wasn't on the board, so you can't fault him for that. Garrett Wilson, I think, is just going to be great in that offense. Now you got to have a Z. Wilson on the back of Zach Wilson's jersey. I think that Wilson to Wilson connection will be fun. Jermaine Johnson at 26, I don't hate. I don't like trading up to get him, but that's my personal preference. The Jets came out and said, hey, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, 3 of their top 8 players. And when you're that high on a player, you're going to trade up and get him. So getting 3 of your top 8 players, I mean, they probably have it as an A+++ draft for the Jets. I know a lot of Jets fans, specifically PJ, are head over heels for this draft. I agree with Nick that trading up for Breece Hall is not good. I don't like trading up for a running back, but he will be awesome in that offense.
We'll see. Yeah, he projects well because of how bad that Iowa State line was. Like they're going to have a run game with him.
Right, and look, I like Michael Carter too. So it kind of stings that Michael Carter is probably going to take a back seat now, but having him and Michael Carter together is going to be fun. Jeremy Rucker, I'm still lower on. I'm not a huge fan, so I'm fine with that pick. Max Mitchell, I thought was okay value. He tested out way worse than I thought, but his tape was phenomenal. Michael Clemens, I think, is a decent developmental piece. So Jets got an A from me. I think this is a really, really good draft, and one of the few teams that is protecting their second-year quarterback. So applaud to them for that because it's tough out there for these other second-year guys. So final division now. We'll run real quick through these. Nick, what do you think about the Broncos?
Unspectacular, C+, whatever. Nick Bonito pick was great. Good scheme fit. DPR, doesn't need a pass rush guy, comes in and gives him some jolt. Greg Dulcich, tight end 1, day 1. I'm not a huge fan, but you know what? Whatever. It's a tiny reach. It's fine. It's like a C pick to me. Damari Mathis, Ayomo, I don't know how to say this.
Uwazurike?
Yeah, Ayuzoma, whatever. That guy. My mouth can't work today. That guy I liked. We, those are developmental pieces I am a fan of. Then we had Luke Wattenberg, athletic center. Sure. Matt Henningsen, I'm a huge fan of. I think that's like your 2-gap running guy right now. Like him and Uwazurike are going to be, 2 guys that you potentially get some playing time this year, and it works in the 3-4. They got some pieces, hard roster to upgrade. Didn't take necessarily the most valuable positions. Took Delaire and Yale Turner. I don't know. Weird draft. C+.
I really don't have much else to say. I agree. It's probably like a C+, maybe a B-. I think Nick Bonito is a great scheme fit. They needed a tight end. They got one. They needed a developmental corner, I guess. They got one. I don't know. It was a fine draft. C-.
I ended up giving a B just because you guys know I'm head over heels for Nick Benito, and for him to fall to 64 is insane value. I think a lot of people besides me will say it's insane value for Nick Benito, who I had a top 20 grade on edge 3. I love him. He was one of the most productive pass rushers that we've literally seen in college football the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years. So Greg Dulcich I like a lot too. I think he's a good tight end in that offense. Wazirike, I think, is a good developmental piece. I like Matt Henningsen in the 6th round, especially. I know, Nick, you love Matt Henningsen. So overall, look, Nick Benito is my guy, so I have to give this draft a B. But overall, those are pretty solid drafts. Let's go to the Chiefs now. Donnie, what do you think about this draft?
They killed it. Shout out Andy Reid. Shout out the Hunt family. Everybody that was sleeping on the Chiefs saying that they were going to miss the playoffs after losing Tyreek Hill. Yeah, hate to break it to you. I tried warning you. I told Nick. I tried warning you. This is a great drafting team. They had the best draft last year without a first-round pick, and then they had another amazing draft this year. I mean, like, what are we doing here? Like, train up for Trent McDuffie, who I thought was a top 15 player in the class. You needed a cornerback, especially in that division, and you got a good one. So congrats on that. He can do a lot of things. Just don't put him in man press, and then you'll be good. George Karlaftis at 30 is a joke. This guy's edge 3. I thought he was a top 15 player in the class. May not have a high ceiling, but I guarantee you day one he's better than Frank Clark. So, yeah, another great player that you got there. Sky Moore is going to be so good on Kansas City. I can't wait for it.
Might live up to your Tyreek Hill prediction.
Yeah, maybe.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, yeah, but Sky Moore is he's going to be so good on that offense, and I can't wait for it. Nothing else really to say there. Brian Cook was the only weird pick of day 1 and day 2. I don't think it was a bad pick. It was a bit of a reach, but I think at his ceiling, I'm not saying he's going to be Tyrann Mathieu, but I think he could be like kind of a light version of that. So I don't know. I thought that was a fine pick. And then Leo Chanel at 103. I mean, what are we doing, dude? Why did Leo Chanel fall to 103? Like, he's better Nick Bolton. That's literally what he is. He's more athletic Nick Bolton, and I guarantee you, like, in a couple of years, they could have one of the best run defenses in the league.
Oh, my God,
just because of how good their linebackers are. Like, Nick Bolton and Leo Chanel, and then Willie Gay.
Willie Gay. Linebacker. They got 3 now. Like, they're great.
Yeah, Joshua Williams, I'm not too sure who he was, but I know Nick liked him a lot. Yeah, he'll talk about him. Darren Kennard in the 5th round. Like, what are we doing?
Again, baby. Trey Smith.
What are we doing?
I love it.
Like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, what? Like, why did this guy fall to the 5th round? He was better than Kenyon Green, in my opinion, if not on the same tier. Like, what are we doing? And then the rest of these picks, they're kind of whatever. They're 7th round picks, so it really doesn't matter. Jalen Watson, I didn't watch him. I wasn't too sure who he was. Yeah, the rest of these guys, I just didn't really know. And then they signed Justin Ross in free agency. Need to bring that up. If he's healthy, which I don't think he is because he went UDFA, but hopefully he can get healthy. Hopefully he can. But if he is, he's going to be probably good on Kansas City. So, yeah, Kansas City, I never doubted you, and I will never doubt you when you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and you keep drafting this good because you did it once again.
Yeah, I mean, McDuffie, Karlaftis, top 15 player, Sky Moore, top 30 player, Chanel, top 60 player. Chanel one I really don't get. Like, in a league where, like, we're trying to move away from, like, 1980s football, like, okay, here's your 100th percentile 1980s linebacker, and teams wouldn't draft him. It makes no sense to me. But okay. Let's talk about some late round guys really quickly. Jalen Watson, long, not super athletic, very long, quick corner, good developmental corner. And then Joshua Williams. When we talk about high school players, which is kind of what I'm going to do with the D3 guys, Fayetteville State, they have to be dominating their tape. This is not only a guy that was dominant at corner and just obviously the best player on the field, but also on special teams, had like 2 blocked field goals returned for touchdowns all on his own. Like, he was just a freak. And that's what gets you drafted in the 4th round as a cornerback from Fayetteville State. And then Isaiah Pacheco, not a guy that I had on my board. I didn't think he would get drafted. There's something there. I watched him live against the Rutgers. I think there's something there, so that's fun. And they don't really have a running back room right now. I know CEH is there, but he's whatever. That would be a fun one if he develops.
He's bad. He's not whatever.
I love this is an A+ draft for me too, and I hate saying A+ because the Ravens had literally one of my favorite drafts ever. But like in normal years, like the Chiefs A+ for sure, and we gave him an A in this consensus. But Trent McDuffie is look, Donnie. You mentioned Brian Cook as maybe the Tyrann Mathieu replacement. No, that's Trent McDuffie, man. Trent McDuffie is your new Honey Badger. Like that, he's gonna play slot corner, outside corner, free safety. Like move this guy all over the field, and I know Steve Spagnuolo will do that. My God, I love that scheme fit. Like Trent McDuffie in Kansas City is freaking awesome. I love him with L'Jarius Sneed in that defense. I love that pick. George Karlaftis going to speak Steve Spagnuolo, and they mentioned on the Tailgate podcast, PFF, hosted by Austin and Mike, who we love. Mike said, "Hey, Austin, your comp for George Karlaftis was Justin Tuck." Well, guess what? Justin Tuck's best seasons of his career, his highest graded seasons, were with Steve Spagnuolo. So you get another guy like George Karlaftis in that defense. Boom, man. These are 2 home run picks. Then you get Sky Moore at 54. How did he fall to 54? How did Tyquan Thornton go 4 picks earlier than this guy?
God.
I don't know.
How did Wandale go over this guy?
I don't know. We'll get into the. Oh my God, the Wandale we'll get into. We'll get into the Wandale. The Wandale we'll get into. But my God, like this guy might have 1,000 yards next year as a rookie. Awesome pick. Like now it's like, oh man, dude, Tyreek Hill's gone. What are they gonna do without him? You get Sky Moore in there. I love that pick for Kansas City. Leo Chanel, another home run pick. Nick, you mentioned it. Like, oh yeah, he's like a 1980s style linebacker. Yeah, except for the fact that he's a 100 percentile athlete. Like this guy is going to be a phenomenal football player there.
I just don't get it. I
don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, and then, right when they picked him, I remember I was sitting in the, tweeting out stuff for PFF. Right when they picked Darian Kennard, I'm like, they freaking did it again. They freaking did it again. They got the new Trey Smith. Fell to the 5th round. My God, dude, the Chiefs. Again, the Ravens have one of my all-time favorite drafts, but the Chiefs nailed it this year. And this is why they're one of the best teams in the NFL for drafts like these, not just because of Patrick Mahomes. All right, let's go. Go ahead, Tom.
Real quick. Like me and Nick were talking about it on the stream. Like when that Leo Chanel pick happened, we were just like,
I forgot he was available until he was picked.
No, because before the pick happened, I was like, why is Leo Chanel still on the board? Like this is like every stuck in the past NFL coach's dream is to take Leo Chanel at pick 15. Why is he still
in?
We're just bad at this. Like that's the only thing that I can come up with.
Yeah, well, I guess we must suck. We must really suck. My God, that draft is awesome. That draft was
shout out Kent. I will say this real quick. There are probably going to be no A+ in the NFC, so we're probably done giving out A+. But Chiefs, holy crap, man! Like dude, you did it again. You did it again.
Only A is in the NFC.
Real quick before we move on to the next team, I said they had the best draft from last year, and I know a lot of people disagree and say it's Miami. Just think about this for a second. They drafted arguably the best center in the league, Creed Humphrey. Mm-hmm. They drafted Nick Bolton, who was arguably, I would say, the second best rookie linebacker behind Micah Parsons. I would say he's better than Jock just because Jock got hurt and didn't play a lot. So I'd say Nick Bolton number 2. And then you got the steal of the draft, Trey Smith, in the 6th round. And by the way, none of those guys were first-round picks.
No, 3 impact players. Yeah, that's true.
3 impact players on day 2. And then in the 6th round, in Miami, yes, they had great picks. Waddle, Phillips, and Holland. All those guys were their first 3 picks. And 2 of them were first-round picks. And then 1 of them was a second-round pick. The Chiefs got all those guys on day 2.
7 or 8 impact players.
Seriously. I think they got a ton this year. Love. The Chiefs did what's a good draft when because it was tough keeping up because as much as it was moving so fast. It's a good draft when they pick a player and you're like, wait, he was available? I thought this guy was picked way early. They had those many different times in this draft, and unreal value for the Chiefs. All right, let's go to the Raiders now. Nick, new regime in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, can't really make fun of them too much more. But how much do you think? What do you like about the Raiders draft?
I love their draft. I thought it was great. Britton Brown at the end of the draft was very strange, but everything else was great. Thayer Munford, great value. Matthew Butler, Neil Farrell, they needed interior help. Both those guys are taken around where I would have taken him. Zamir White was one of the better running back picks. Yep. I thought if they, in terms of their style of offense, he makes perfect sense. And I do think not signing Josh Jacobs is very smart, a great move there by them. Good progressive move. And Dylan Parham I had as a late 2nd round pick, for a team that I literally said going to the draft, I hope they go O-line because I think their passing offense could be awesome. Go O-line, great. A+ pick there at 90. I was really a big fan of what the Raiders did first time in a while. Good job, Raiders. Really proud of you.
Yeah, good job. Also, Samir White and just the combination of Samir White and the fact that the Raiders declined Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option, guarantee you that's not a coincidence.
No.
Guarantee that's not a coincidence. So Samir White,
Raiders just declining all day the fifth-year options.
I love
yesterday.
that. That made it
fifth-year options.
That made it an A+ for me, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, Raiders, good job. I'd give you a B-. Good job. Dylan Parham was also very sick, by the way. That was really sick.
That was an awesome pick. That pick was awesome. I like the Thayer Munford.
Day one, he's better than Alex Leatherwood. I'll go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say it.
Thayer Munford at 238, another offensive line. I love that value too. I don't know if a 7th rounder would be contributing much for you, but I'm a big fan of Thayer Munford, especially in the 7th round. Zamir White, I think, is one of the best kept secrets in this running back class. I think he wasn't really used much, obviously, with James Cook being there, but I really like Zamir White a lot. I am actually RB9, superb athlete, was a 5-star coming out of high school, played really well when he got time, just didn't get much time there, but at 122, love that. And Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler, I thought were pretty awesome picks too. So you decline all 3 fifth-year options, but I did not think Josh Jacobs would get his decline because I know Raiders fans are in love with this guy. But awesome job declining that. I know it's not a very popular thing to do in Las Vegas, but I thought it was great for them. So I ultimately really liked the Raiders draft, and I ended up settling on a B for them. But I really did like the Dylan Parham pick. They traded for Devontae Adams, which is why they didn't have a 1st or 2nd round pick. So that honestly is a pretty good trade for them. Final team, I know this has been a very long video, so we appreciate all of you who kept watching. The Los Angeles Chargers. Donnie, what did you think?
The more I look at this draft, the more I just don't like it. Listen, Zion Johnson is a great player, and he's going to be a great guard. What are you going to do at right tackle? I don't know. What are you going to do? Like, I hate to break it to you, Storm Norton is the reason why you probably didn't make it to the playoffs, because the Raiders absolutely made him look like an idiot, and your offensive line, it improved, but you improved the interior. You got to improve your tackles. And then the rest of the picks, JT Woods, I don't get it. Why is he a day 2 pick? I had an early 6th round grade on him. Like, I don't get it. Why is he a day 2 pick? Like, I don't even think he starts year 2, and you took him in the 3rd round. I don't know. I'm not a fan. And then I'll leave the Isaiah Spiller pick to Nick. I'll leave that one to Nick. And then the rest of these picks, I will say there was one that I did like, but once again, you took another guard, Jamari Saylor, like, great pick, fantastic pick. You need tackles.
Yeah.
Like, you need tackles. Like, Jamari Saylor could probably plug in that guard right away, but you drafted Zion Johnson, so he probably won't. Like, you need tackles, and you didn't draft any. And yeah, Jamari Saylor could play tackle. I don't think he's going to be very good at it. I don't think he'll be very good at it. So, I don't know, man. The more I look at this draft, I just don't like it that much. I really, really don't. And the rest of these guys I did not watch, by the way. I didn't watch, like, from their 6th and, so round 6 and lower, I did not watch any of these guys, so I can't comment on them. But I don't like this draft, dude. I originally had it at a C+. I think I'm going to lower it to a C-. This draft isn't good to me.
C+. Xander Horvath is a very productive fullback. Dean Leonard's from Calgary. there you go. Those are my draft takes. Yeah, I actually didn't hate the Isaiah Spiller pick as much in the 4th round as it would have been in the 2nd, but I don't need to go into it. Guy's built like AJ Brown. He's all upper body, and he's just not. He doesn't break tackles. He doesn't know how to read holes. Not very good. Whatever. Ogbonia, good pick. Jamari Sawyer going after Justin Schaefer was just unbelievable to me. That just goes to show you that teams legitimately scout based off of high school recruiter rankings. So Schaefer's a 5-star recruit. Like, that's all that was. And then JT Woods, I like. That was too high. Zion Johnson, I don't know why they're picking guards. That was weird to me. Ibushi was pretty all right for them last year. I don't know. It was a very strange, again, the process here was weird to me.
Yeah, so the one thing I will say, and PFF did a good job bringing the live show, because once the Zion Johnson pick was made, I was like, okay, fine, but why? They brought up that Matt Filer graded really well. He actually had the 5th best pass blocking grade at right tackle.
Okay.
In 2019, but so it was a while ago, but still. So you think about that. You move Matt Filer to right tackle, put Zion Johnson at right guard.
I can get down with it.
I can get down with that. So that's, again, I was with you guys until they brought that up. I was like, oh, I actually did not know that. So,
I didn't have a bad grade on that pick. I still like if it was a little high, and it's a guard.
Yeah, I think it was high for me too.
I think they needed other positions.
I was lower on the guard class than a lot of people were, but I understand that kind of line of thinking. It's better than Trevor Penning for them at that range. So JT Woods, I'm a little lower on for them. Isaiah Spiller is fine. Otito Abanya, actually, I like a lot. Jamari Sawyer was one of the best steals of the draft. Like, that guy should not have been a 6th-round pick. He could be a quality depth piece, if not a future starter for them. So I was a big fan of that Chargers draft. Not a big fan, I shouldn't say, but C+ I ended up on for them. So I thought it was above average for them. Just, there were some players I would have taken above them, but I don't know. Zion, moving Matt Filer to right tackle, and if he could regain his 2019 form at right tackle, then I'm way higher on this draft. But as of right now, it's kind of an unknown, so I ended up as a C+. So that's what we got for all 16 AFC teams. That was a very long time, but these are the
NFC next.
NFC next.
If you saw me pumping my fist during the video, it's because the Capitals took Game 1 in Florida.
Hell yeah. We paused. I didn't realize we went that long. Oh my God. These are the final. Yeah, these are the final two 2022 draft videos that we're doing. So I guess we have to kind of recap everything. But we appreciate you guys so much for watching. We got one more 2022 draft video, and then trust me, we already are texting each other 2023 takes.
Oh,
so
it's true.
We're sad. We're very sick.
We're already talking about it. And yes, PFF did release a top 125, and yes, we will probably do the same.
Yes, we will probably do the same.
Not that many.
I let Mike know. I was like, I let Mike know. I was like, dude, you are sick for releasing the top 125, but I love you for it. So I really appreciate him. But yeah, we are sick in the head, and for all of you that keep watching these videos, you probably are sick in the head too. So we appreciate you guys watching. That's what we got for the top 16 AFC teams. NFC teams are coming up next. But for Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons, I'm Max Chadwick. Have a great night.